it can be super frustrating to hear from your medical team like, hey, your diagnoses or your symptoms are stress induced, especially in the context of women's healthcare and, a history of concerns being dismissed. As a licensed pediatric psychologist, I work within the medical system and I provide services to children and teenagers who go through the medical system for a variety of different diagnoses. So I figured I can come on here and talk a little bit more about the true physiological impact of stress and why that is something that is necessary to address, even if it's not the only or even primary cause of your symptoms. So many of us have heard the HPA axis or the autonomic nervous system. Those are all things that help regulate what types of hormones, what types of actions your brain and body complete throughout the day. And we know that when we have chronic stress, children and adolescents can develop many symptoms that are or can be long-term. Long-term physiological impacts of emotional or physical stress can include things like changes in the metabolic processing, autoimmune, endocrine, all those kinds of things can be impacted both short-term and long-term in children. And then of course we also have the added risk of developing psychiatric disorders due to emotional, physical stress or trauma. This can be especially common in disorders of the gut-brain interaction because of the very strong connection between the brain and the gut. All this to say, that does not mean that if you're having physical stress or emotional stress that you're going to have these lifelong chronic health issues. There are really great interventions to help address this, and of course, earlier intervention is always going to be more effective. So things like trauma-informed care, addressing other barriers to access to healthcare, including mental health care. So that often means working with caregivers and supporting the caregivers. And also for trauma, we'd want to provide trauma-based services, right? So TFCBT is one of the most common ones that has the most evidence, but of course, for younger kids and older kids, there can also be additional modalities that we might use. So stress might not be the primary or only cause of the concerns you're experiencing, but it definitely does not help.